Hello, and welcome back to TED Talks Truth and Reality about why the world is crumbling before our eyes. Sadly, our collective view of reality has been crumbling, or better stated, fragmenting and separating into infinitely diverse enclaves who rally around a commonly accepted self-concerned view. And the viewpoint that makes the most appealing noise to the herd mind, or commands the spotlight on the news and on the social media, usually has the most influence on closed-minded, unconscious, lost souls. And with the help of the media, self-centered individuals can easily sway and influence those lost souls who believe bad ideas or do wrong actions. I have been trying to explain how and why selfism dominates the core perception among these various self-interest realities. Because selfism distorts and confuses nearly every aspect of every social alliance in every culture, and has since the beginning of the first social partnership by two or more individuals. Most of those gatherings fell under the evil control of using any way or means to achieve their self-centered goals or objective. And throughout historical time, all social groups became more and more addicted to their chosen collective herd-minded views above all others. Since the very beginning, when the first two people stepped out of the cave and saw two different views of truth and reality, individuals have been trying unsuccessfully to define and explain their one-of-a-kind, unique view of the world outside their mind by unwittingly using physical, earthly, mortal terms and symbols and tenets and dogmas and sacraments and opinions and theories, all personal, mortal, earthly ideals only they could fully understand. And also, all along, since the beginning of consciousness and individuality, humanity has been foolishly and unconsciously attempting to explain and interpret something that was impossible to explain, interpret, or define. This is the unknown source and creator of all we see and cannot see. That spiritual truth and the personal understanding of the essential importance of God's existence in our lives is what I eventually wrote about in my book, Slow Down and Love. At this point in my talks, I had originally intended to speak more about my book and how the lessons I learned communing with the small inner voice could and would help each lost soul achieve self-enlightenment, especially those who truly and sincerely wanted more out of life than what has passed so far in their journey. However, the recent problems in Ferguson, Missouri, and the struggles with radical jihadists and the Muslim religion clearly points out and vividly illustrates my claims that selfism is beginning to dominate the minds and hearts of more individuals than even I could have imagined when I began my personal journey for personal self-enlightenment. When people callously and brutally chop people's heads off and drive crucifixes through the throats of children and burn the eyes out of children and rape and pillage villages and enslave women, someone has to stand up and speak the truth. And I am going to, from this day forward, in a way that maybe others have avoided, but I promise I will always speak the truth and reality of the moment when you see me before you. So selfism is the key to solving this problem. And selfism is infesting every special self-concerned aspect of all social groupings, and skillfully blinds every closed-minded follower who joins a personally chosen self-concerned cause. Slow down your thinking and bias for just a moment and listen to my personal view on how and why this dreaded disease is ripping America as well as the world apart, and now is slowly but surely dividing society and cultures into fragmented pockets of self-centered zombies who follow the noise and clamor of the voice that aligns or agrees with their wrong, biased, programmed belief system. When a white person watches the protesters in Ferguson, it is difficult, no impossible, from their set of white experiences to comprehend the collective life experiences of the black community that led up to this moment in time. And it is likewise impossible for the collective mind of the black community to understand the white perspective, especially if both sides are not open-minded and do not have the desire or will to try. This is where and when the leaders of these communities must tell the truth, not promote their personal view and self-centered agenda. Conflict isn't a white or black issue. It is a right versus wrong conflict. Personal perspective plays the major role in determining a person's view on the incident that brought people into the streets to protest their perspectives. Some do it for just and correct reasons from their viewpoint of life. Others do it for selfish reasons. I decided at this point to present my personal overview, to apply the truth and reality I uncovered in my journey to self-enlightenment. So what follows is my honest, sincere, unique view of what is going wrong in Ferguson, which, if understood and comprehended by you, applies to the radical terrorist as well as to any extreme self-centered view on the planet now, in the past, or in the future. If an open-minded person slowed down and sought the truth of what has erupted in Ferguson, it can be traced to the very first statement about the facts that took place that day. The eyewitness companion of Michael Brown started the chain reactions of subsequent events by what now looks like to be a self-serving version of his view, and purposely, for reasons only known by him, altered and distorted the truth and reality of that moment. He has since altered and revised his opinion again. Once it became known he had a history of lying to the police and exaggerating the truth and reality of actual facts. But his initial story had already started the momentum towards chaos and destruction, as others began to join in the disorder and confusion stirred up at that moment. I am sure that wasn't his original intention. He was probably simply trying to cover his own butt, since he knew that both he and Mr. Brown had just minutes before committed a crime. Remember how many times I have stressed in the previous talks, if the foundation or beginning of an idea's reality is flawed and built upon falsehoods, all subsequent reality will be wrong and harmful to all who fall under the evil spell of its influence. Hence, the rioting and the protesting in the streets began to attract all those who try to exploit these falsehoods to their own benefit. The race baiters and provocateurs who make a darn good living crawl out of the woodwork and fan the flames of hate and division for their own personal welfare, not the welfare of the truly harmed and hurting souls devastated by the tragedy. I don't want to appear or sound indifferent to the family and friends of Mr. Brown, but the truth should be allowed to prevail and surface in any conflict by being patient and vigilant to what gradually and eventually unfolds. People just need to slow down and love and allow matters to unfold through realistic timelines, and don't rush to judgment, especially if the desired judgment or justice has already been affixed in their minds and in their hearts by the same old mistakes of the past, and by the same old race baiters who make their living off of dividing America instead of unifying Americans. I hear all those with something to gain from this tragedy say the same stupid and self-serving claims that always seem to accompany these sad incidents. None of them are after the real truth. They want their self-centered vision of reality to prevail over the real truth and reality of the moment. We saw the governor make calculated statements that were self-serving for his political future. We saw the president and his attorney general step in and make self-serving statements instead of talking truth and reality about how the policies and ideals of the liberal progressive Democrats have caused most of the problems suffered by the black communities in America. Just look at Detroit, Chicago, any of the major cities that are run by liberal progressives all suffer the same agony and pain voiced by those people in the streets. They are just voicing or pointing their anger at the wrong source. The source is within them and their choices. We even saw the news media pick sides and report self-serving details that were in most cases slanted and biased by their own personal ideology or the ideology of their producers or owners of their particular institution. We also saw the same usual suspects show up to exacerbate the problem with their inflammatory rhetoric and hate-filled speeches. Very few pundits spoke truth and reality to the folks being we, the people. I am trying in my way to get you to understand that every person on earth views the outside world through eyes that are biased and in most cases self-serving by being unconscious to the fact that each of us is the problem as well as the solution simultaneously. I discovered how and why this is truth and how and why each lost soul views reality through uniquely biased and prejudiced eyes. My book, Slow Down and Love, details my search for this answer, and during our time together, I will attempt to convey that answer to you in the only way I know how, my way. So until we meet again, Godspeed. Have good luck. It seems like that we all need it in this day and time. Thank you again.